everybody. It's a beautiful day out there. My name is Mr. G. I am your meteorologist. Welcome to Elite Weather Forecasting. We got another weather forecast for you for this Friday afternoon. We're going to be talking about what we're going to be seeing out there as far as your weekend is concerned. So we hope you all have some fun plans for the weekend and that everything works out great for you. If you're joining me today on TikTok, please feel free to follow me there. And if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. Comments and likes are always welcome. So once again, everybody, thank you for joining me. So we got a lot to talk about out there as far as the weather forecast is concerned. Today is February 2nd, and that means it's Groundhog's Day. And yes, Phil did, in fact, Phil did not see his shadow today, so that means we have early spring coming. So that's good news for you. So I believe that's right. Yeah, we have early spring because he did not see his shadow. So that means that's some good news there for you if you believe in that kind of thing. So as we take a look at our weather forecast, our city of the day is Dallas, Texas, the Big D. I used to live out there in the big, beautiful city of Dallas. We have some showers in the area and some thunderstorms as well, some severe weather. We are looking at some areas that we're seeing some hail, some large hail falling down out there across west central Texas, but we are seeing those showers and thunderstorms moving across the Lone Star State up into central Oklahoma to about the Oklahoma City point southward through north central Texas down to San Antonio. We're seeing some showers and thunderstorms out there today. So let's move on and take a look at our maps so we can talk about that weather forecast for this weekend. So now it's time to talk about the weather forecast for the rest of the country and this weekend. So we just had a lot of rain hit California. We had our first storm there in our series of storms in this current inundation of the atmospheric river that dropped about 1 to 2 inches of rain down across the Southland through LA County, Orange County, and even down into San Diego County. We're poised for the next storm system to move into the southwest, where we're going to be seeing heavy rain across the Southland once again. But let's take a look at our first map as we take a look at that next storm before it makes its way into Southern California. And what you can see there, this is what we're going to be seeing about 6 o'clock p.m. on your Saturday as that next big round of rain prepares to make landfall down along the California coast. And we're going to be seeing that heavy rain from San Diego and the Mexican border all the way up the coastline into the Bay Area and over towards northwestern California. This storm is going to be mostly focused on California more so than the Pacific Northwest. So this is going to be a big one for SoCal and the desert Southwest and parts of Nevada and Utah as well. We're going to be seeing some heavy snow in two parts of the Rockies and across the southern Rockies, and we're going to see that heavy snow once again over the Sierra Nevada. And here is a look at our rainfall expectations down across Southern California through Wednesday of next week. So we're going to be still dealing with more storms after this weekend storm. So even into next week, we have more storms in this parade of storms that's going to be approaching the West Coast. And we're going to be looking at heavy rainfall amounts where we're going to be seeing areas picking up as much as 5 inches of rain, even down into the foothills of San Diego County. So San Diego, Orange County, Los Angeles counties, some areas is going to pick up as much as 12 to 18 inches. Record rainfalls here falling across in Southern California. Check out the heavy rain even across in the mountains just north of Palm Springs there in the San Bernardino Mountains, where some areas is going to be picking up as much as 30 inches of rainfall. I'm not misspeaking. I am not joking when I say 30 inches of rainfall in some of the Southern California mountains. 30 inches of rain. That's historic rainfall amount there, rainfall there in Southern California. So we're going to be seeing that heavy snow in the Sierra Nevada, heavy snow in the Southern California mountains. So some areas picking up 20 to 30 inches of rainfall high up in the foothills and in those mountains where it's still too warm for snow. So we're going to be seeing those ridiculous amounts of rainfall, 12 to 18 inches, and a few isolated spots exceeding 20 inches of rain. And we're going to also see snow over some of the higher elevations of the Southern California mountains, and that snow definitely across the Sierra Nevada through Central and Northern California. This weekend storm is going to be a much warmer storm than the last storm, so we're going to be seeing more rain than snow in this storm system that's currently set to hit the Southland in California this weekend. So Sunday through Wednesday, this is what we're looking at as far as rainfall amounts. 3 to 5 inches of rain across the LA Basin. That includes Orange County, where we're going to be seeing 3 to 5 inches of rain, but up to 8 inches of rain in the foothills. So Pasadena, we're talking about the foothills, so like Upland, Pomona, Laverne, the foothills of some. So there's a lot of areas. Pomona. We're also looking at if you're in the San Fernando Valley areas along the San Gabriel Mountains, the San Bernardino Mountains, the Santa Ynez Mountains down there through Orange County, the Temecula Mountains, and into San Diego, where we're going to be seeing that wide swaths of 8 inches of rain. So some very heavy rain this weekend with that next storm that's coming through, and we're going to be seeing that heavy rain all the way down into San Diego and into parts of the Imperial County as well, where we're going to be seeing 3 to 5 inches closer to Orange County. But if you're in San Diego closer to the border, you're going to see 2 to 3 inches of rainfall. So San Diego, El Cajon, Chula Vista, Escondido, those areas we're going to be seeing that 2 to 3 inch rainfall totals for you folks, okay? And then, so Sunday through Monday, we're going to have a flash flood threat throughout the state of California. That flash flood is going to be from north of San Francisco down to Orange County and the Los Angeles County line, where we're going to be seeing the likelihood to very likely, so nearly extreme potential there for flash flooding and mudslides. California is very notorious for mudslides, especially in burn areas where they've had recent forest fires over the last couple of years. Those burn areas is going to be exposed because of the lack of vegetation, because it was burned away by the fires. So that heavy rain, if there's no vegetation there to hold that soil, so all of that soil is going to slide down the mountainside due to the weight of all of that water and the inability to absorb all of that water, because the land is pretty well saturated after several rounds of heavy rain due to like El Nino and the storms fueled by the atmospheric river or the Pineapple Express. So as we take a look at the next map here, we're going to be looking at that snow that we're going to be seeing across the Sierra Nevada, and we're going to be seeing the heavy snow where we can see 6 feet of snow for I-5 at the pass level. So north I-5 at the pass level, we can see 6 feet of snow, and we can see 46 feet of snow above 6,000 feet. So if you are above, 46 inches along I-5 at pass level. So I-5, when it goes through Northern California, I-5 through the Grapevine, we're going to see that potential for 6 inches of snow. I-5 mostly goes through the San Joaquin and the Central Valley, and it picks up mountains again north of Sacramento, and it starts to head into Redwood and Crescent City, and that way heading towards the Oregon border. The mountains in Northern California, we're going to pick up 6 inches of snow along the path of I-5. But if you're above 6,000 feet, we're going to be looking at 6+ inches of snow. So very heavy snow across the Sierra Nevada and even down into Southern California as well. We're going to be seeing a couple feet of snow across parts of Nevada and then through Utah as well. So lots of snow once again with this very, very powerful storm. This storm is more powerful than the previous storm that's currently making its way across Texas. And we're going to look at that one in just a moment as well. So here we are as we take a look at our wind gusts that we're seeing out there right now. Those winds are fairly benign over the deserts, but if you look at California, Los Angeles, we're looking at breezy conditions with those winds about 20 miles per hour. But up in central California, around the Bay Area, we're looking at winds 40 to 50 miles per hour out ahead in anticipation of that next storm that's going to be arriving this weekend. We're seeing those winds already gusting to 50 miles per hour in and around San Francisco. So our current storm that's moving up, our last storm to affect California, is now making its way into the southern plains. It's affecting Texas and Oklahoma and Kansas, and we're seeing thunderstorms out there right now and some severe weather. We're seeing thunderstorms across central Texas that's producing some hail and some high winds, and we also have the potential for some tornadoes as well. So that severe weather, and we're going to be seeing that storm system track its way along the Gulf Coast and over towards the state of Florida. And once that storm crosses the state of Florida, heads out into the Atlantic for a time, it's going to make a left turn along the northeastern coast. But this storm is going to make its way further out to sea. It's not going to become quite a nor'easter, and we're going to see a nor'easter later, but we're going to see this storm kind of ride the east coast for a time before winding its way out to sea. And our current storm that's moving towards California is going to eventually make its way to the east coast, but affect inland areas of the east coast. So this one is not going to take a nor'easter track either. And we're going to take a look at how we get nor'easter when we talk about the AO, the NAO, and those phases and things like that in just a moment here. Here is our severe weather outlook for this afternoon. So today we have that severe thunderstorm likely. We have that, this is our area where we're seeing that slight risk area. Then we have the yellow where it's a marginal risk for some severe thunderstorms this afternoon, and we're also seeing some very strong thunderstorms right now over east central Texas here near Midland and Odessa and Sonora, Abilene. We're seeing those stronger single cell thunderstorms, but we're seeing more linear thunderstorms further to the east here over Dallas, Fort Worth, down through Austin and San Antonio and near Corpus Christi, where we have a more definitive line of thunderstorms moving to the east across that area right now. So here we are as we look at your flash flood threat. Flash flooding is going to be likely along the Gulf Coast once again on Saturday and Sunday with this current storm system, as we're going to have heavy rain along the Gulf in Louisiana. So, you know, typical flooding across southern Louisiana when you get over an inch of rain. It just takes an inch of rain in Louisiana to cause severe flooding. And here we are, we're going to be looking at generally 1 to 2 inches of rain along the Gulf Coast and East Texas, and that's going to be through Monday. We're going to see that fairly heavy rain along the Gulf Coast. Some areas are going to be picking up 2 to 3 inches of rain around the New Orleans area, and then over parts of the southeast Georgia and South Carolina near Charleston and Jacksonville, Florida. We could see that potential there for 2 to 3 inches of rain as we head into your Sunday, okay? Now, here we are as we talk about, okay, and a lot of people are asking across, if you're in the northern plains in the upper Midwest, where is winter? A lot of people up here, well, I mean, we saw temperatures this week in the mid-50s here in the Twin Cities. Where is winter? It's February, and we have no snow on the ground here in the Twin Cities and in central Minnesota. No, there's still a little snow to the north near Duluth, northern Minnesota. We even have some snow in far southern Minnesota. But right here, we've had a snow drought. It's been amazing in my eyes. Great, wonderful. But I know I have some friends that are skiers. They do cross country. Their boys in high school and college do cross country skiing. and they've been unable to ski because if there's no snow here in town, and they've had to travel to do the skiing because they had to go where snow is on the ground. It is enough to do the skiing. And here we're looking at the drought. It's been warm. It's been beautiful. We're looking at those temperatures in the mid-40s today. Very nice day today. Again, across central Minnesota. So as we get further now, as we get closer to spring, now the one thing is going to be watching is that it's going to get harder to get snow. Snow perpetuates snow. When you have snow on the ground, it's cold. And the air above the snow is cold. So once a storm comes through and it's cold enough for snow, it's going to snow again. Snow on top of the snow. Snow perpetuates snow. But since we don't have any snow, and we've had basically we just haven't had any really meaningful precipitation. Any precip that we have gotten has been maybe like an inch of snow. We've gotten 4.4 inches of snow so far since the winter season started, since our snow season started in late October, all right? We count October 30th through April 1st, April 30th. So since October, we've gotten 4.4 inches of snow, and all of it is melted. There might be a patch of snow on the grass or in the shade somewhere here and there, but for the most part, there's no snow. So we have a storm, the long-range models is picking up a storm about a week from now, 10 days from now, where it's depicting all rain here in the Twin Cities. Temperatures we're going to spend next week, temperatures in the 50s for about 4 days. We got 4 days forecasted to be in the low to mid 50s. And then we have rain in the forecast and not snow. And so, because of the fact we don't have any snow, that's going to help this storm stay warmer. So snow perpetuates snow. And not having snow perpetuates not having snow. So we have our next chance for meaningful precipitation is going to be rain here in the Twin Cities because of the lack of snow. And one of the things that contributes to that, especially as we get into March through February, the days are starting to get longer. It's starting to get daylight earlier. So we have a sun angle, a higher sun angle. So it's more sunlight in March. So as we get through the month of February and into March, the days are longer and the days are warmer. So then cold air becomes harder to find. So with the El Nino, a strong jet stream, the cold air is bottled up way up in the Arctic Circle, where it should be. It's bottled up in the Arctic Circle. So storm systems aren't able to quite tap into that cold air. So we had the lack of really strong storms moving across the nations, the upper Midwest and the Great Lakes. We've had a lack of significant strong storms, mid-latitude storms. And then we had more warm breakouts because of warmer than average air from under high pressure over Canada. So we've seen, so a couple of days ago, Saskatchewan, Canada had a high of 70 degrees on Thursday. Key West, Florida had a high of 69 degrees. So Saskatchewan, Canada was warmer than Florida. That's how that weirdness of El Nino. So we've been seeing that warmer than average air over Canada, and that air has been spreading over the upper Midwest, over the U.S. So this is why we're seeing these warm temperatures here in Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, North and South Dakota, Nebraska, and up through Montana and Wyoming. It's been freaky weird, very weird. Exciting, but weird. So we've had warmer, these bigger, more significant warm spells than we've had cold spells. So we had the warm-ups hit harder in the spring. Late winter early spring. So the warm-ups are going to be, and even as we go through time, those warm spells are going to become more and more and more significant. I wouldn't be surprised to see 80s in March, 70s consistently, as we especially get through mid-March and toward the end of March. I expect us to see a warm spring. Okay, so here is our temperature outlook for the lower 48 through the month of February. And predominantly, we're going to have that warmer than average, very likely to be above average across the upper Midwest and into the Great Lakes, all the way over to the Pacific Northwest. But look at the South. Nothing below average, nothing above average. Because they're not going to be below average because they're further south. The higher sun angles, it's warmer already. So it's going to be naturally warming. Even though they're going to have lots of rain, we're going to see less and less situations where freezing rain is going to be less likely. Rain, and we're going to see more snow, less snow opportunities across the country as we get into March this year. Alright, so we're going to talk about something called the Arctic Oscillation. We often refer to this as the AO. And what this is the upper air currents over the Atlantic and the Arctic. So the Arctic Oscillation was currently in a positive phase. And check this out. We've been look how we were in the negative phase back in January. And we were in that negative phase back around January 13th. What was happening back then? A lot of big storms on the East Coast. This is when we finally got snow in the Northeast, in New England. Not in New England, but along I-95. This is when New York finally picked up snow back around January 13th. We finally found snow, a little bit of snow in Philly, in Washington, D.C., in Baltimore. We finally saw snow. That's when the AO is negative. This is when we have bad weather in the Northeast and on the East Coast. And this is when it's really cold in the Midwest. The AO in the negative. Now in the positive phase is when it tends to be warmer in the Midwest and drier and warmer in the Northeast. And we are in a positive phase. And look, as we are now, it's only going to get warmer as the AO gets more amplified. So a higher jump in the AO. So between now and February 5th, predominantly higher than average readings in the AO. But it's expected, the forecast is for it to go neutral. See, you have some going high and then you have some below. When it's kind of like that, it's more neutral. The AO is neutral, a neutral phase. Kind of pot, so you might have weaker storm system. It'll be a little bit chillier, but nothing too strong, nothing too oppressive. No extreme cold, no extreme warm. It's just when it's like this, it's kind of ho-hum. You might get some rain, you might see a little bit of snow, but you're not going to get a whole bunch. Just a little bit of sloppy, inclement weather, but nothing too extreme. So we're going to eventually, after a few days of a strong positive, then go to AO neutral. And then we also talk about the Arctic Oscillation. Okay? Yeah. And then we're going to look at this from February 5th through the 13th. It's going to go from our strong positive to a more neutral around the 5th, then neutral, but then it's going to go more negative. So then around the 13th is when we should see colder air into the Northeast, a cool down across the Midwest where the temperatures get to be more normal temperatures. Around here in Minnesota, it should be 24 degrees or 26 degrees for average temperature. We've been in the mid-40s to 50s, but this will bring us back down to normal, or maybe even slightly below normal when we see that Arctic Oscillation go mostly negative. The weather becomes more inclement in the east when the AO goes more negative. So the NAO is kind of very close to the AO. Kind of the same thing happens when we see that. And what we've observed is a very positive AO. We're still in a very positive, see now it says positive AO. So we're looking at this glorious weather in the east. And then we're going to see things go neutral as we get past the 5th. So once we pass the 5th through the 13th, it's going to go neutral. So that's when we're going to see more typical weather for this time of the year. We'll see cooler, but it won't be, no, we're not looking at a nor'easter. That doesn't mean we're going to see a nor'easter, or we could see a nor'easter, it could be a weaker one, but we're not going to see any big dramatic storms with the AO in a neutral. It just means the weather is going to be a little bit more active than it's been, than we would see with a strong positive phase like what we're in now. It's amped up right now. So when we look at the North Atlantic Oscillation, that means when it's positive, this is going to be a less favorable storm track for nor'easter East Coast storms. So a storm track like this will be less favorable for big storms because of ridging over the North Atlantic, high pressure over the Northeast, over Canada and Greenland, and the size and the positioning of the Bermuda High. Alright, so here we are when we talk about what we're seeing now. We are currently in, we have a positive phase. This is a strong polar jet stream. The cold air is bottled up in the Arctic Circle, where it should be. That's a fast, strong jet stream. So when the AL goes negative, we see a weaker jet stream. So that allows for areas of that cold air to slow down and sag down to the south. And then we see pockets of cold air. We see that Arctic air dropping down out of Canada over the east, maybe over the Pacific Northwest, where we might see a more amplified pattern where we're going to see stronger shots of colder air, those strong shots of warmer air, followed by another strong shot of colder air. But we have what's called blocking. And right here, we have what's called this. You see how this is shaped? It's shaped like the Roman numeral omega. So that's called an omega block. Storms block up, may get caught up over the Northeast. And this is when you can't get rid of the storm. And it just lasts forever and forever. And it's really cold and snowy because the storm can't move offshore. It can't move away. Or it moves off into maybe due north because it can't go that way because of the big ridge, the high amplitude ridge that's blocking it from moving further to the east. So when you have a strong polar jet, this is when we see what's called a zonal pattern. This is also occurs in the positive phase of the AO and the NAO. The positive phase, this is when we get weaker, right? It's warm across the east for the most part. And we have fast moving low pressure centers. They're weaker and they move a lot faster. This is when we see Alberta clippers shooting by because we have a slight northwesterly dip in the jet stream from it coming out of Canada and across the Great Lakes. There's slight troughing over the Great Lakes, and we have those fast-moving, moisture-starved storm systems we call Alberta clippers. That's when we see that. And we've been in a lot of that. We're kind of, sort of in that kind of a pattern, kind of too, and that's when we have a strong subpolar low over the North Atlantic and over like Great Britain. Now they're getting blasted by storms in Europe right now. They're getting a beat down. They're having the weather we typically have. It's over there. They can keep it. So Now, when the AO and the NAO is in a negative phase, this is when we see a slower, weaker jet stream. So this allows for the really big shots of cold air to sag down across the Midwest. The plains is when it's really cold, and you see those wind chills 30, 40 below, and those overnight temperatures in the negatives as well, and the daytime highs struggle to reach zero. This is when you have those nasty winters. This happens a lot with La Nina. In the Midwest, you have a weaker jet stream, so it sags down further to the south. The Gulf Coast brings that super cold air out of Canada, and it's mostly a negative phase in the AO and the NAO. But we have a weaker subpolar jet, a subpolar low over the North Atlantic. And the weaker subtropical high, we also call it the Bermuda high, is weaker and further to the east across the Atlantic, closer to Africa instead of closer to the Americas and Canada. So, a little bit of meteorology 101 for you there. My name is Mr. G, and I hope you learned a little bit in this weather forecast. I hope this video might have to be cut into two so I can post it on TikTok. But anyway, everybody, thank you for watching me today. Leave your likes, comments, and subscribe. You learned a little bit today about why we see the type of weather that we see, what's going on that causes that. So, all right, I'm glad to be here to teach you a little bit. And I will see you guys all tomorrow in our next video, okay? Have a good time and be safe and take care of one another. Bye-bye.